How to connect an IP camera to TV without a DVR. Hey everyone, Mike from CCTV Camera Pros here. And in this video, I'm going to introduce you to this new Viewtron IP camera to HDMI decoder that lets you view one or more of your IP cameras live on a TV. Actually, you can connect them to multiple TVs if you want, and you can do that with or without using a DVR or NVR recorder. I'm going to start with a real simple example of how to use this, and then there's some more complex ways you could do it. Actually, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can, including this right here, which is displaying 9 IP cameras at the same time. So stay with me, and let's start with the most simple example first. So in this diagram, you'll see we have one of our Viewtron IP cameras hardwired to a network switch or router. And then we have the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder connected to that same network switch. And basically what's happening is that the live video stream of the camera goes over the IP network, and the decoder could be anywhere on that same network, decode the RTSP stream, and display live video on an HDMI TV. If you want, you could add 2 decoders or more to this application and take that same live video stream from our IP camera on the network and decode it on 2 of the Viewtron decoder devices and send that live video out to 2 TVs. You could add a 3rd decoder and add a 3rd TV if you like. So next, this diagram is showing how you can have multiple IP cameras connected to the network using Cat5 cable. And again, the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder connected to that same network, and it's pulling in all 4 of the IP cameras' video streams, decoding them, and displaying all 4 of them in a grid at the same time. This is basically like a video multiplexer for IP cameras. So next, it's actually really common for customers to want to record video centrally on multiple IP cameras, but then also display them on a monitor that's not located near the DVR or NVR, and they may just want to display one of the cameras on the system, or they may want to display multiple cameras. What this diagram is showing is that the Viewtron IP cameras are hardwired to the PoE ports on the back of the Viewtron NVR, okay? The Viewtron NVR is connected to the network router or switch. And then, of course, the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder is connected to the network, just like in the other examples. The big difference here is that those cameras are not connected directly to the local network. They're on their own network between just them and the NVR. However, Viewtron NVRs and DVRs expose the raw video streams, the RTSP stream of those cameras on the network. You can enable that in the NVR settings and give other IP devices direct access to the video stream over RTSP. By the way, RTSP stands for Real-Time Streaming Protocol. So now the Viewtron IP decoder is pulling in the 4 camera streams, but through the recorder. And if you wanted to just display one of these cameras on a live monitor, but record all 4 of them on the NVR, you could do that too. So that's typical in a retail application. Like it's typical for us to supply security camera systems for a department store, for example. That department store might have like 30 cameras all recording back to a central Viewtron NVR, but they want a single camera at their entrance displaying a live view so that when customers come in, they know the area is under video surveillance. And they just want to display that one camera showing the customer a live view of them walking in. Very typical. Okay, so obviously you can also add a second decoder for this type of installation with a DVR if you want to display any of your cameras live on more than one monitor. And by the way, if you want to display camera 1 on monitor 1 and camera 2 on monitor 2, you could do that. You could display 4 cameras on monitor 1 and just a single camera on monitor 2. The system is extremely flexible. Okay, so next, we also have a new Viewtron HDMI to RSP video encoder. And then what that allows you to do is it allows you to send an entire HDMI signal over the IP network to the decoder. So in this case, what I'm doing is I have 6 IP cameras hardwired to the Viewtron NVR for standard video surveillance and security applications. You're recording, alerts, push notifications, but I'm sending the HDMI output of the NVR to the Viewtron HDMI to RTSP encoder. Now the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder can pick up that signal of the entire HDMI output, and the HDMI output of the Viewtron NVR can display as many cameras from the system as you want. So in this case, I'm displaying a 6-camera live view all over that HDMI signal and decoding it with the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder. You can take that same system and add a second decoder if you want the entire HDMI output to go to a second monitor. Okay, so in this last example here, what I wanted to show is that the video streams that the IP to HDMI decoder consumes and then changes into HDMI, those could be cameras from remotely over the internet. So everything in gray here, in the gray box on the left, is showing a separate site from where the live monitor and the HDMI decoder is located. And basically, the Viewtron IP camera is connected to a network router. You set up port forwarding on that router to allow outside access to that camera's raw RTSP stream. And then you set up the Viewtron IP to HDMI decoder to connect to the stream, but now you're connecting to it from remotely over the internet. The setup is the same, but you have to set up port forwarding on the router for the IP camera. And by the way, this can be applied to any of the previous installation scenarios that I went through. If you want to remotely access the entire HDMI output using our RTSP to HDMI encoder, HDMI to RTSP encoder, you can. If you want one of the cameras to be from one location and the other 2 or 3 that you have connected from other locations, you can. It's extremely flexible. I want to mention a couple things before we wrap up this video. So we have thoroughly tested this with all of our Viewtron IP cameras. It works with all of them, and you can mix and match all the different Viewtron IP cameras we have. But in reality, this is a generic device that'll work with third-party IP cameras as well. As long as they give you access to the camera's raw RTSP stream, it'll work with them. And if you need help determining if your IP camera is compatible with this IP to HDMI decoder, you can reach out to me and the team anytime. Just send an email to me at mike@cctvcamerapros.net and include your IP camera's make and model, and I'll help look into that for you. If your camera's ONVIF compliant, it'll almost definitely work, because I haven't seen an ONVIF compliant IP camera that doesn't give you access to the raw stream that you'll need. So pretty much all ONVIF compliant IP cameras will work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with some of the super inexpensive plug-and-play residential cameras like Ring. Ring doesn't want to play nice with other manufacturers with interoperability, so they close off their system and don't give you access to the RTSP stream, unfortunately. This works with all of our Viewtron IP camera NVRs and with all of our Viewtron hybrid DVRs. What that means is you can use this with coax cameras on a Viewtron hybrid DVR because our DVR gives you access to the raw RTSP stream, or you could use the HDMI to IP converter and send the entire output of the HDMI signal over IP. And this will work with our Viewtron recorders as well as third-party recorders. It actually works with any device that has an HDMI output. So you can use this with things other than security recorders if you want. Guys, thanks for sticking with me till the end. I know that was a lot of different scenarios and a lot of information. Me and the team here design systems for customers all day. We do assessments of what customers have in place, if they have an existing system, and what works with this Viewtron equipment, and what you should keep and what you should replace. So we help you make a good decision if you're using some existing equipment, even if it's very old. You can reach out to me anytime for a free consultation, free questions via email. You can also text me. My email address to get me directly is mike@viewtron.com. If you want to learn more about the new Viewtron IP camera to HDMI decoder, as well as the HDMI to RTSP encoder, if you want to send entire HDMI over IP, you can learn about both of these products at www.viewtron.com/IPTV. Thank you for watching.